Hi, Brian here, and this is another video on my web application NetChecklist.com. In this video I'm going to talk about working with the task list. So here I am logged in again as my fictional user Bob Broker, who is a member of the fictional real estate company Ready Real Estate, and here we are on the home page for that organization. Now you get to the home page for an organization using this button right here, and if you don't see that button, it's probably because you're not in an organization yet. If you saw a screen like this with no button there, that's where you're not currently working in any organization, and all tasks and things have to belong to an organization. So on this screen you're not going to have that, but once we go into an organization, which we're going to select one here, we do have that button there. When you first go into an organization, you will be on the home page for that organization. Now, the home page for an organization is where you work with your task list, and it's the only page where you work with your actual task list. And now, Bob does not currently have any tasks assigned to him. If he did, they would be in between these buttons right here. But I want to show you this with no task, because when you do have tasks, they're going to appear between these two buttons. So you're always going to have one of these at the top of the list and one at the bottom, and they both do the same thing. Whenever you make changes to any of your tasks, you can hit either button and that processes the updates for those tasks. So I'm going to pause the video real quick, and I'm going to populate his task list with a bunch of tasks, and I'll be right back. So here we are with a bunch of tasks, and right now the task list by default is going to show uncompleted tasks only, which it says right here, and we can also tell this says task complete. It's going to say no. All of them are going to say no. When you first go into an organization, there's about 8 defaults for which tasks are going to be displayed, and those are under this task sort and filter options. I'm not going to cover all of that in this video. So we're seeing uncompleted tasks only, and to mark a task complete, it's just as simple as, we'll take this one right here. Don't pay any attention to what these tasks are. It makes no difference for this video. So I'm going to mark that yes, and I'm going to say process updates, and we just marked one task complete. Now this activated some dependent tasks, but don't worry about that in this video either. We're not covering that here. So we marked one complete. You can also do as many as you want. So let's say I want to mark this one complete and this one complete, and down here I want to mark this one complete, and this time we'll do the button on the bottom. It does the exact same thing. So here we just mark 3 tasks complete. When you are clicking the buttons, you can click the little button, obviously, to select it, but you can also click the text next to it, and that will do the same thing. That makes it a little bit easier, especially if you're working on a mobile phone or something like that. So on your task list, not only can you mark tasks complete, we'll do that one complete, you can also delete a task, which I'll delete that one, and you can make tasks sleep, which basically makes them disappear for X number of days, 1 day, 4, 7, or 10, and they'll disappear from your task list today. They'll show up again in that many days. So say we want to make this one appear in 1 day. So let's process updates again, and now this time we marked one complete, we deleted one, and we put one on hold. So not only can you mark any number complete at one time, but you can do any number of marking them complete, deleting, or making them sleep. And again, on these buttons down here, you can click the text or the button to select it. If you hover over the buttons on some of them, it gives you some dialogue, like on the delete. If you hover over the yes, it says that will permanently delete this task. You should only do this if you're not ever going to complete it. Basically, the difference between deleting it and marking it complete is if you mark something complete, it stays in the database, it gets marked that it's been completed, and it records the day and time when it was marked complete. If you delete a task, it deletes it from the database, so you can't go back and look at it and see when it was marked complete. It will be gone. So that's the difference, and it says that here. So, and under the sleep buttons, it tells you those are pretty self-explanatory anyway. Okay, as you're working this, I want to show you something here. Let's say that we're going to delete it, and we've selected to delete as yes, and then we say no, we're going to mark it complete. When you click yes there, it's going to change the deleted to no, because again, if you're going to mark it complete, that's different than deleting it. Now, if you go back and say delete it, in that case, it doesn't change it from yes, because at that point it doesn't matter. If you're going to delete it, it's going to be gone. It doesn't matter what this is going to say. But here we said mark it complete. If we come down here and say no, we want to make it sleep, that's going to change the task complete to no and the delete to no, because again, sleeping is different than marking it complete or obviously deleting it. So there is a little bit of logic built into those buttons there. Okay, so next let's talk about task sorting and grouping. Right now, our tasks are sorted by project name, which means it's going to group all of the tasks together for a certain project. These tasks are for a project 1, 2, 3 Anywhere Drive, and you can see on each one here, it's Anywhere Drive, and here it is. And this is the header for that. And then down here, we jump to the next project, which are Byers, John, and Jane Smith, and all of those are for that. Now, so it sorts them that way, and they're also grouped. And if you hover over this button here, it says you can click here to collapse or expand this group of tasks. So if I click that, it collapses everything for that project and collapses that. Now they're not gone, they're just hidden, and I'll show you evidence of that. Let's say we're going to mark this one complete, and we're going to mark this one complete, and down here in this, let's mark that one complete, but now they're marked complete, but let's collapse them. We haven't processed them yet, so they're not actually marked complete in the database. So they're collapsed, so again, they're not gone, and if I process, we did just mark 3 tasks complete. So they were still there, they weren't gone. So you can collapse as you're looking at it. And that's sorted by project. Tasks can also, under your sort and filter options, be sorted by task class, task name, or date. Now date does not group them. If we do that, I'm sorry, when you select one, you have to hit update task sorting and filtering to commit those changes. So date does not group them, but if you did by task name, it does. So those are done by task name, and you can collapse those. And task class, I don't think I have task classes set up for these. There's actually just going to probably be one for a task class of none. So, but I tend to like project name. To me, that makes the most sense. But if you like something else, you can certainly change it. Now, you also, these are not collapsing each time we refresh the page. And even if we go, each time we process updates, or even if we go away to another page and come back, they're not collapsing. But let's say if you preferred to see them collapse, under your task sort and filter options, okay, this is how they're sorting, but right here, it asks you want to display collapsed task sort group. So if we say yes, do collapse, the default was no, yes, do collapse, and update, now they're collapsed. And if we go to another page and come back, they're still collapsed, and we have to manually open them. So if you prefer to see it that way, you certainly can do that. Also, for those two settings, whatever your overall preference is, you can set in your user settings. Down here, you can say to sort tasks by project name and whether or not to collapse. Whatever you set in your user settings, that's what's going to take effect each time you log in to the organization. Log into the application. So whatever you set in here will override that, but as soon as you log out and go back in, it's going to go back to your defaults. So another feature that I find really useful is you can filter your task list to show you only the tasks from one project. So let's say if you've got a bunch of different projects on here, even though you can collapse them, that can still be a little bit confusing, especially each time you process updates. So if this were expanded, let's say I said, okay, I just want to focus on this project right now, working on this. So if I hover over this project link right here, the pop-up says click here to display tasks only for this project. So if I click that, now I only see that project, and up here it tells me that I'm filtering to see only the tasks for 123 Anywhere Drive. You could also accomplish the same thing under your task sort and filter options. This says filter by project name. It's now set to the 123 Anywhere Drive because I changed it. So it also shows it here. I'm going to reset that real quick to get rid of that. I could accomplish the same thing instead of clicking that link by coming under here and saying I want to see that and update filtering. That would accomplish the exact same thing. Whenever you've made any changes in here, if you don't like what changes you've made, you can reset your filters to the defaults, and that'll go back to your default settings. There's also some other filtering you can see in here. If you wanted to see only tasks with that task name, so say you had this to do the same task for a bunch of projects, you could say, okay, I just want to see that task name. You could go through for all your projects and complete just that. In addition to resetting them here, anytime you've got a filter like this set, there's also a clear filter button here, so you can get rid of that. By default, we talked about showing uncompleted tasks only. If you wanted to see completed tasks, okay, under here, first of all, you can filter for user, which user you want to see. I'll come back to that in a minute. So this is uncompleted tasks only. If we click the drop down, we could see completed tasks only, or both completed and uncompleted tasks. So you can change that too. And if we change that, say update, here it says both completed and uncompleted tasks. We can also see inactive tasks. Inactive tasks are things basically that are dependent on other tasks. I'll cover that more in another video. You could also do that task class filtering over here. I'm going to reset that real quick. As far as for the user, again, when you first log in, one of the defaults is that it's going to show only the tasks for you, who is whoever the currently logged in user is. That's always going to be the default. If you have the proper user rights within an organization, you can see tasks assigned to other users. In this organization, Bob is a manager of the organization, so he could see tasks assigned to other people. Basically, people who work for you, you can see what's assigned to them, see what they have and haven't done. I don't have any setup like this in this sample right now. So that's pretty much what you need to know about working with the task list.